is recorded. This is going to be on the Colorado State 4-H website, so keep that in mind if your camera's on, because you will be famous at this point. So welcome to our virtual Livestock Expo. This night is on market poultry, and we have our wonderful leader here in Pueblo County, Miss Joslyn, who is going to be leading our presentation tonight. My name is Miss Beth. I work in the 4-H department down here in Pueblo. So she's going to show you some animals. She has the presentation for you. You're going to be able to ask her questions, and then we have a trivia game that you all get to play. So awesome fun tonight, and I will hand it over to her. And Miss Joslyn, if you'd like to say a few words, and then we'll get started with your PowerPoint presentation.
Sure. Hi, welcome everybody. Pardon the noise here. We just had a hatching and I have about 42 baby chicks in the room with me. These two were volunteered to meet you all. So they're 48 hours old. These are not market birds, but these are part of our breeding flock. So I thought, what better way to have some kind of mascot than these two right here. So I look forward to helping you guys with poultry. I've been raising poultry since I was little, and I enjoy animals and birds, and I'm here to help you with questions. So I guess let's get started. All right, can everybody see this? Thumbs up. Awesome. All right, so my name is Joslyn. I'm the superintendent for Pueblo County, and I'm ready to help you kind of learn a little bit about getting started on your market poultry, whether that be market chickens or market turkeys. So next slide. So for your market chickens, always check with your rule book for your county, but we use the jumbo Cornish cross for Pueblo County. These broiler chickens are known, they're really rapid and they're very food efficient when they're eating and growing. So what that means is the amount of food they take in will result in a large amount of body mass for the meat portion of it. They have really nice broad breasts, they have really nice big thighs, white plumage, and they have yellow skin. So that makes it easy for them when you're processing them for your buyers. The Cornish cross rock is between the commercial Cornish chicken and a white rock. So it's kind of a sub variety here, which I thought was kind of a neat fact. Next slide. This is a general picture, general description of one. And then for fair, for Pueblo County and for state fair, you guys will have to have the date of your fair for show. So for Pueblo County, we have the 20th of July. We'll have check-in for poultry and showmanship, and we'll also be judging your meat birds. By that date, they need to be between the age of 56 and 70 days old for fair. This is just so we don't want an old bird. We don't want a too young. This is just the requirement for fair. And then you want the trio to be the same sex. So you want 3 females in the trio for the meat pen, or you want 3 males in the trio for the meat pen. That's what that means. No mixed pens, because that will be a disqualification if you have 2 females and a male. And then we have 2 classes. We have our fryers, which are the smaller ones, and they are 4 pounds to 6 pounds. So please try and keep that in mind. You'll want to weigh your birds a lot, especially when you're getting ready to do your meat pen. And then you have your broilers, and that's 6.1 pounds to 10 pounds. If you have a bird that is 6.2 pounds in with your 5-pound birds, you have a mixed class again, and that would be a disqualification. So really look at your sizes and your weights and make sure you have only females that all weigh the same and only males that all weigh the same for either the fryer or the broiler class. So hopefully that makes sense. Do we have thumbs up or down or sideways? I see thumbs up. Okay, next slide. Now we'll talk about our turkeys. And for turkeys, we can do 2 separate breeds. We have the broad-breasted bronze and we have the broad-breasted white. The bronze are kind of a metallic. They're what you think of as kind of that, almost that Thanksgiving turkey or wild turkey. It goes kind of from like a coppery to the bronze. They have dark pin feathers. These birds are raised for meat production, and they have a really good feed conversion ratio too, just kind of like, that's why they're picked kind of like the broilers. They just have a darker body to them. They have a slate gray leg, and they're kind of a really striking bird. The white They're the same size. So either one is a very good choice. The white, they have a lighter pin feather, so they do dress a little easier when you butcher. They're probably the most common turkey when you see for wild, or not wild, but for commercial grown birds. When you see like the big barns full, this is what you usually see in there. But they're very easy to dress, kind of like the white Cornish, and that's why most people kind of choose the white. But both are very good choices for fare. Next slide. So this right here is this is a bronze. He's just strutting and drumming right here, so showing off a little bit. So for market turkeys, we want them to be between 14 and 18 weeks old for the time of fare. We want them to weigh between 14 and 30 pounds. Anything under 14 is a disqualification, and anything over the 30 is a disqualification. So keep that in mind, weigh your birds. Really look at the date you're getting them, and then that kind of will help you as you're weighing them to see how much food you're going to feed, or do you want to up their protein, or maybe you want to lessen it. Maybe they're gaining really fast. You don't know. And then we have 2 classes for market turkey. We have your hens and we have your toms. So female and male class, you can have 2 birds in this class. So you can have one of each if you want or whatnot. But I thought this guy looked really nice. Okay, next slide. So I'm sure you all have kind of looked at general setups. This is just a general brooder box setup. Your heat lamp, see how it gets raised, to kind of go up and down for the first couple of weeks. You want to keep it around 95 degrees, and it is important to go up and down. If you see your birds, they're too cold, you can drop it down a smidgen. Keep a thermometer in the back, which I really like where they have theirs. That's showing the temperature on the floor for the babies. You want to keep them on a non-slick surface. I think this one, I can't tell. We use shavings for ours so they don't slip and have any leg problems. So we prefer the large pine shavings, but whatever it is, you guys, I've seen people use like, non-slip pads for their kitchen drawers. Those work really well. You have to wash them off every day. And then this is really important, that you have a cool spot for the chicks to get away from the heat and be free from drafts. Chicks and your little turkey poults are very susceptible. They cannot handle drafts or real hot, real cold. They will have failure to thrive, which is kind of sad. So really make sure that they're kind of free from drafts, and this is just a real basic setup. So next slide. This is another setup, and I love this. This is a feed tank or a water tank, and they've set it up where you can do this. Just a different idea. They still have the heat area, and then they have the cool area where they'll feed, and I can't tell where the water is, but everybody's separate, which is really what you kind of want, is to have a hot and a cool. So next slide. This is a great way to look at it. So our top slide here, our top picture, they're all kind of balanced. They're running around, they're active. If you start looking down at these other slide pictures, the 2 cool, what are they doing? They're all like kind of huddled up, way huddled up. So that means, hey, maybe they need a little more heat, or maybe you need to put a little more cover on top. Then the middle picture, you've got them all like really far out. They're not even underneath it. So potentially they might need that heat lamp kind of raised up a smidgen because they're a little uncomfortable. And then you can see in the third picture there that everything's just right. They're kind of evenly spaced, they're dispersing, they're running around. That's what we want to see. So we know that's a happy chick environment. Next slide. So we're going to talk about water. And when you guys do your meat quality assurance and your trainings, we always talk about what's the most important thing for your animals, and that's access to clean water. And I really like Save a Chick electrolytes. They really help with stress, especially if they've been shipped to you for 2 to 3 days. There's a little bit of stress involved with that. If you don't have electrolytes, that's okay. Add a little bit of sugar to your water. That works too. We like to dip our beaks of the babies in the water just so they can kind of get used to it. And then sometimes, especially if you have turkeys, put marbles in there if you can, because we have had drownings with turkeys and some small chicks. I know that sounds really kind of impossible, but they do drown. So This is just a chick water example here for y'all to look at and add to your shopping list. So next slide. And so we're going to talk about the food. And these are 2 feeders, just ideas for chick feeders. You can either do just an actual chick starter, or you can do a broiler starter. They have goes from 18 to about 22% on your protein level. It's really important for them to have high protein. It helps prevent against leg problems because meat birds are prone to leg problems and weakness and whatnot. So I kind of recommend those 2. And then as they get a little older, you'll want to start weighing out their food a little bit and not overfeeding them, because they will gain too much for fare. So when you look at your supplemental materials for market poultry and market chicken, really look at the conversion ratio and how much you're feeding and how much weight they're going to gain. And so it kind of helps you kind of gauge it a little bit. I see there's a question about game bird feed. Yes, you sure can use game bird feed too. It's what everybody kind of prefers or has available, honestly. So we use game bird feed sometimes too for ours. We have heritage turkeys, so it works. Next slide. This is just a comparison for you guys. I just found 2 random the labels for the feed sack. So we're looking at a lot of protein. We're looking at a lot of fat. We're looking at, what is that, almost 3 and 4% of fat, which is good. They both have the salt and the vitamins in there. That way they'll drink lots of water, because you do want that. The water helps those pellets expand so they can absorb them, if that helps you all. These also have a lot of there's calcium in there, which they need for bone growth. But it's important that they have the high proteins for your meat birds to gain weight. You can also supplement with corn if you feel the need, but look at your manuals and it'll show you a little bit about how much corn to give, or scratch, to keep them I do it so they don't get bored, honestly, and they pick each other so much. But really, this is kind of where you need to be with your feed. So hopefully that helps y'all. Next slide. So this is the fun part of baby chicks. This is the basic health care. You want to clean their vent. And I don't know if everybody's been looking at, parts of a chick or parts of a chicken. Their vent is their bottom, where they go to the bathroom. You want to keep that clean. If it backs up, it will kill your chick. So carefully, you can soak the area with warm water. You can gently wash it off any feces. It kind of does stick a little bit to the baby fluff. This is kind of a side point here, but we found it really helps with care and maintenance. Shh. Noisy little partakers here. If you put a little bit of Vaseline, just a tiny little drop on their bottoms, it really helps to keep them from being plugged up, and it's easier to clean off too. And then keep in mind, chicks are going to pick each other. It's going to be if they're too hot, if they don't have enough space, if they don't have any fresh air, if they're bored. Sometimes they just pick each other because they're feeling ornery. But keep in mind what your chicks are doing. A red heat bulb, the light really helps with pecking and preventing it. And if you see any injured chicks, try and take those out or separate them, because they will keep attacking that same baby and the weaker baby. So can you guys hear these chicks? Everybody can? Okay, I was hoping not, but they're kind of noisy. Okay, so our next slide. So let's talk about where to get them. So usually, like, you have your hatcheries, Murray McMurray, Myers, Stromberg, and Hoover's are some of the hatcheries that you can order from. Check your local feed stores. They're a great resource. They can also get smaller batches for you, so you don't have to order that 15 or 25 chicks. Sometimes their minimal orders from the hatcheries are a little high. Sometimes through your feed stores, you can get just a few, like 5 turkeys. 15 turkeys is a huge order. So Fowler Feed has them, Buckley's up in Security, and then I think Tractor Supply, they're able to order in. If you have a Murdoch's is also ordering and raising or helping kids raise birds too. So there's some ideas for you guys. Look at your dates and see what you can find available. So hopefully these phone numbers and emails will help you all out for finding your chicks for fair. And next slide. So this is my phone number and email. You call me anytime. I love talking birds. I love people coming over, looking at birds, or helping with general health questions. I don't mind that either. And this is my passion, and I have tons of them. So, so do we have any questions or anything I can help y'all with?
And if you have questions, you're more than welcome to unmute and one at a time ask your question, or you can also type in the chat if you don't feel comfortable unmuting yourself. You can do that as well.
So how many chickens do we have to order?
That's going to be based off of your hatchery. So different times of the year, they might have a minimum order of 15, or they might have a minimum order of 25, just for the safety of the birds to get through the mail. If you're finding that's way too many birds for you to have, possibly go in and order with somebody else and say, hey, let's split an order, which can kind of be a nice thing. We've done that before with turkeys, just because that's a lot of turkeys to have.
So we're ordering from Hoover's Hatchery. So.
Okay. That's good. No, great. Do you have your order and your date?
No, we've been at the ER.
Oh, I'm seeing this. I don't. You look like you had a rough day then. Okay. Well, don't worry about that. Let us know and we'll get you set up, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Miss Joslyn, there is one in the chat from April that asked, did you find out what the Brahma is? Is the question.
The Brahma?
Do you need a bit more information?
Sorry. So you told me you had a little Brahma chick.
Did you find out? Hi.
That's why I'm laughing. I'm like, oh my gosh. So did you find out if that little chick is a roux or not?
I have not found out. Yeah, we had 2 hatch, so I don't know. I'd love to give you a little pullet, but I don't know.
So I'm laughing. I need to come out anyway. I need to see Gracie.
Okay, come out and see the goats.
Mama yet? Is Gracie a mama?
No.
Oh.
No, not yet. So you guys, which one's cuter? I couldn't pick between the two. I don't know if you can see them. This is a little buff Orpington, kind of little yellow baby, really noisy. This is a little partridge cochin, the little darker one. He's going to be noisy now too. Which one can you see better? Or which one's cuter?
If you all want to vote, you can type in the chat which color you think is the cutest. So you can either put black or yellow, because I know that's kind of what it looks like on the screen. Or
is that kind of what you see is black and yellow?
Yeah, we see black and yellow. All right, everyone's typing. Looks like most people like the darker one.
Oh, you won, little guy. Oh. Well, good. So do you guys all have your manuals and your record books all set? Yes, no.
I think most of them do, it looks like.
Good. That's great. You guys have those downloaded. Those are a lot of pages. Really read through those. If you have questions on feed conversion, like how much your bird will eat and how much weight they'll gain, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to talk with you about that. It'll help you to weigh your birds frequently, so you can kind of see how much they're gaining, or if they're not gaining weight, what you need to do. I can't emphasize that part enough though. Weigh your birds and really focus on that clean water. Do you have a question?
I think there was just some scratching of faces. What? But can you tell them maybe a little bit, like if one of their chicks gets sick or anything, like is there medication they should be thinking about trying to have on hand like they would have for other animals? what is your advice for them, especially if they're brand new, if they have a chick that gets a little injured or sick?
Sure. No, obviously, if they're sick, if it's a respiratory, you can look at Vetrex. It's a really simple, you can get it at Tractor Supply and Big R. It goes on their nose and it will help with the respiratory. If it's anything more severe, you're going to look at probably Tylenol, which would be an injectable, and there is a withdrawal time on that. So you'd want to look at your withdrawal times for market poultry. Off the top of my head, I think it's 14 days, but don't quote me on that part. Other than that, if they have stomach problems, I can't even think off of what it is, but they do have some kind of digestive issues that you can kind of see. More than anything though, watch if the weather's really bad, they will drown themselves outside. And I know that sounds silly, but they'll have their heads up, and some of them, your turkeys especially, will drown. So it's important for them to have a shelter they can get out of the weather with. And too hot, too cold, they get a little finicky with all that too. So I think respiratory is kind of the main one though.
Okay, and it looks like you do have 2 questions. So I know Alyssa was first, and then we'll go down to Madeline. So we'll do Alyssa first and then Madeline.
Okay.
What would a good incubator be?
Incubator for breeding chickens or for market poultry?
I think for either, it seems like it's
Okay.
about.
So most of your market poultry, they get too big to breed on their own. So what we have to do is they go through a scientific procedure to be fertilized. We fertilize the mamas with the eggs, but they go through a scientific procedure for that instead of traditional, hens and roosters out in the yard or toms and hens, because they get too big. Your market birds are not very viable for long-term backyard health. I mean, they just get too big. They're bred for meat, and they're bred for a very specific amount of time that they're alive. Your breeding chickens, those can stay around a little bit longer, which is nice. I have a RCOM, I think is what it's called. I also have a styrofoam incubator, and then I'm looking at getting hopefully a chest incubator, which I'm really looking forward to, and that'll have multiple shelves to kind of, it'll have a hatching tray in the bottom. But right now I have RCOM is what I use. They have a nice, the top has like a glass top. You can kind of watch it. It's really good for viewing, and it's good for, it's easy to clean. I will say that. It's probably the easiest one I've found to clean. The styrofoam can get a little tough to clean, but I would say for breeding chickens, that's what I would get. But for market, it's best to just get those from your hatcheries and producers for the health of the bird.
Okay, and then Madeline, if you want to unmute, you can, or you can type in the chat, whichever is easiest for you.
Well,
What brands of feed does she like?
what brands of feed do you like for
What
chickens?
brands?
Ugh. Yes.
Well, do you have a Big R, or do you have a Tractor Supply? Do you know where you go?
We go to Wardle Feed.
Wardle. Okay, so that's so you might have Dunmore there, or you might have the Purina. I'm not too familiar with what else they have there, but those are good breeds. That's what I had on the
Agland.
They also have Manaprove or Agni. I don't even know.
Agland.
I know Manaprove.
Agland.
Manaprove's good too. Just look at your protein on there. Remember that feed tag I showed you?
Oh yeah.
So most importantly, you look at that feed tag, and that's going to tell you what's in the feed, and you want to have a nice protein for your chicks. Do you have turkeys or do you have chickens coming?
Well, we have chickens as of right now, but we're getting there's turkeys who are gonna be delivered this summer that my mom's already ordered.
Oh, yay. Fun. Get excited.
Perfect. And then it looks like Alyssa has another question. And then there was, while you're answering some questions, Ms. Joslyn, they did ask if you could type in, I think it was the name of the brooders that you were giving out. They were asking if you could spell those in the chat for them. That way the youth can look them up at a later date. But Alyssa, if you want to unmute and ask your questions while Ms. Joslyn is typing, you're more than welcome to. Looks like she's getting unmuted. Hold on. If the unmute doesn't work, you can also, you don't have one. Okay, never mind. It was a typo. So we're good. We have time for like one more question. If anyone has another burning question about chickens or turkeys or anything like that, their feed, their housing, how you get them ready for your fair, anything like that. Miss Jocelyn's kind of the expert. So if you have a question, now would be a good time to ask it. So anyone have one last burning question?
You guys can always email or call if you need help washing or prepping your birds for fair. I show breeding stock for American Poultry Association and the Colorado poultry shows here. And then I belong to a few clubs that I do sell breeding stock for. So I'm here to help if you guys need help with toenails, beaks, how to get that gunk out, you know, kind of in their nostril, you let me know. I'd be more than happy to help. Or how to get white feathers. White feathers can be tricky sometimes when you're scrubbing those. I guess you can use a little bit of bluing liquid. Don't use a lot, but just use like a little drop, and that'll help to make your birds a little brighter white instead of that kind of yellow, sun dingy looking color.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Miss Joslyn. So now what we're going to do is we're going to play our poultry trivia game as a group. So the way this is going to work, I'm going to share my screen so you'll be able to hear the music through your computer. You'll be able to see the game itself. And then Miss Joslyn, will you just type in there the answer into the chat? Because I guess some of the feed wasn't coming through for some of the youth. So if you wouldn't mind typing that in there for them, they would appreciate that.
The answer for
the one just before I started talking
about the white birds putting the bluing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bluing that you can get it in your laundry section at like King Supers or Walmart, and it's just a bluing solution, and you put a little bit of that in your rinse water. We can also go through, usually you have a couple different stations where you have like your wash water. That's where you really scrub them. You use those old toothbrushes that you don't throw away. You're going to scrub their toenails and clean every, you know, their wattles and their beaks and their combs. And then you're going to have your rinse water. And then once you get to your final rinse water, and I know this sounds like a lot, that's when you're going to put your bluing solution in a little bit, and that'll help to kind of brighten those feathers and take away that yellow sun bleached coloring that you can see.
Does that help you, Kelly? Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our game. So what you're going to do is you're going to be able to see the question. It'll show up on your screen, and then you'll be able to pick your answer and type it into the chat. You'll have about a minute to do it. You'll hear music playing while you have time to chat, to type into the chat, and then it'll stop and we'll reveal the answer. So it's going to be fun. You get to have points as you go along and win. It's a really fun game. So, it's going to be loud at first when the game first starts, but I will turn the sound down once we really get going. So here we go with our game. So this is our market poultry trivia for our virtual livestock expo. So as you can see here, this is our first question. It is, what is the maximum weight a turkey can weigh for the Pueblo County Fair? So here you see your different answers. So what you're going to do is you're going to start typing in the chat, and you can either write the weights or you can actually just type A, B, C, or D, whichever one you think is right. And you're going to listen to some Jeopardy music. So we have our timer going and you are gonna start typing. So you have about a minute, so type as quick as you can. And even if you don't think you know it, just give it a go. It's okay if you don't know it, just try your best. Give everyone a little bit of time here. Remember, Miss Joslyn did give you that answer in her presentation, so hopefully you all were paying attention. All right, we have about another 30 seconds here. Type, type, type as quick as you can. All right. I see most of you are saying C, which is our 30 pounds. Let's give that a go and see. Correct. So you all get 100 points. Awesome. Way to go. You all are doing so great. All right. Here's our next question. What are the two classes of market turkey? And here are your different responses you can pick. We have our music going. Remember, Ms. Joslyn also give this as well. So think about, what do you use your turkeys for? What are the two things that you would want to use a turkey for? You can start typing in the chat whether you think it's A, B, or C, even if it's just a guess. That's okay, because you never know. You might get it right. There's only 3 answers, so there's a pretty high probability that your guess might just be right. And it went ahead and did it for me ahead of time. So I saw most of you were still typing, and I apologize, but the ones who had typed in, you are correct. So a round of applause there. So congratulations. And I apologize for that quick one. It started messing up a little bit on our game, but that's okay. All right, so our next question is, what are 2 types of classes in the market chicken? So remember, we just did market turkey. So remember what the answer was for that. And here are your answers for our market chicken. And we'll get our music going. And you can start typing in the chat again. Type as quick as you can. You have about another 30 seconds. And again, even if you are not sure, you only have 3 answers. So there's still a pretty good possibility that you'll probably get it right. All right, it's getting down to the wire. All right, and my chat box has disappeared on me. So Miss Joslyn, can you tell me in the chat the majority of what you think the answer is?
I think the majority were saying A.
Okay, A, our fryer and our broiler. Let's correct. You are killing it tonight. Round of applause, of course, round of applause. And you all get a bouncing heart because you guys are on fire tonight. You are doing so great, and we're so proud to have you here with us this evening. All right, next up here we have, how many meat pens can you enter into the Pueblo County Fair? And I realize this might be different for your different counties if you're not from Pueblo, but that's okay. Just give it a go and see if you can get this one right. So we're gonna start our music again. So just think about it. And again, just give it your best shot. You can just guess away because you never know. You might get the points for winning. And type as quick as you can. We have about another 30 seconds. And if you all have not ever heard of Jeopardy, you can ask Mom and Dad what that is because they play it. So if you've never heard of that, trust me, it's a good conversation to have with Mom and Dad after this session. All right, Miss Joslyn, again, unfortunately, I cannot see the chat. Can you tell me the majority vote for this question?
I wish it was C. I wish we could have 8. That would be awesome. We'd have such an awesome variety of birds there for competition, but the answer is B. You can have 2. 2 sets of pins.
B. So we will do that. We will give another round of applause. It's all about learning and understanding, because we always want to make sure you all understand and make sure you read your rules thoroughly. That's always the most important part for your counties if you're not from Pueblo. Okay, so now it is, how old do our market turkeys need to be at the Pueblo County Fair? So here we have the mom with some babies. So here is our answers here, and I'll get our music up and going here. You can start in the chat. So remember, Miss Joslyn talked about why that's important. And Miss Joslyn, do you mind, just don't give them the answer yet, but if you'll just kind of tell them why a certain age is important when they're going to go to their county fair.
Oh, sure. So that's the ultimate weight and age for butchering. That's when you want to, that's when they read they're not strenuous. You're not going to see striding on your meat at that point. They're at the weight that they need to be for, I hope I'm saying this right. If they're any younger than that, you're not going to get enough meat on them. And they're going to be very immature. They're going to be mostly bone. If you get any weight over that, they're going to start doing their leg problems. Most of your meat birds, once they get overweight, they will start possibly breaking their legs or having a hip pop out of socket. So this is your perfect weight and age.
Perfect. And that is the end of our time for this question. So can you tell me which letter is seen the most in the chat? Because I think my chat has just given up working for this evening, unfortunately.
I think they're saying B,
B,
14 to
right.
18 weeks.
Let's
that would
give
be
it
correct.
a go. Correct. Another awesome round of applause. Make sure you are patting yourselves on the back because you are all killing it. You are doing a wonderful, wonderful job this evening. All right, our next question is, what are the 2 types of market turkeys you can enter? So here we have our different answers. This again is another item that Ms. Joslyn went over a couple different times. She showed you some pictures. She gave you some examples of when each bird would probably be seen, like in the wild or a barn, something like that. She kind of gave you those examples. So try to remember all that as you're typing in the chat. A bit of speed and knowledge. That's always the game of Jeopardy. So after this, if you ask mom and dad, can we watch Jeopardy on Netflix? You'll get to test your knowledge with the actual TV show. And it's a lot more than just about poultry, unfortunately. It's about history and science and math and music. It's about everything in the world. So really good show if you ever want to test your knowledge about random things in the world. Really good show. All right, we have about another 30 seconds here. Make sure you are typing as quick as you can. All right. Miss Joslyn, if again, you will give me that majority vote of answer.
It looks like everybody, most of them, they're picking A, which would be the broad-breasted white and the broad-breasted bronze, and that would be.
That is spot on. You are all spot on. Of course, we have our bouncy hearts for all of you doing such a great job. Okay, so our question is, how old do market chickens need to be at the time of fair? So remember, we talked about turkeys. This one's the chicken one. So here's your choices again. I'll get our music up and going. We talked about this. So Miss Joslyn, can you tell us, like, if a chicken's not old enough by the time it goes to fair, what happens to, like, do they take the chicken home? What happens at the state fair level as well, since most of these kids might be trying to go to the state level as well?
Sure. So if you have your chickens are younger than the cutoff, you will be disqualified, and they will ask you won't be able to show your birds. So they'll be taken out of the cages and you have to go take them home. If they're over the age or over the weight limits, then you will be asked to not show your birds either. They'll be disqualified. So really pay attention to the weights and the ages of your birds to go with your rules.
Obviously very important. So pretty good question to keep memorized, everyone. All right, we have about another 10 seconds here on our time. Type in your answer if you haven't already. All right. Miss Jocelyn, again, if you wouldn't mind letting me know what the majority vote is, and we will see if their answer is correct or not.
I think we're all over on this one. They're saying B,
Okay,
and they're
B
saying
is,
like the 20 to 38 days.
okay,
The correct answer would be
okay.
D,
See, so it's not B. What
not B.
date? Is there another one they voted for to see if they can get it right?
We had a couple in D.
D, let's give it is J. So we will get
That was a tricky
75
one.
points for that. And it is tricky. I did give quite a range there. So unfortunately, you did not get it right as well as we thought, but that's okay. You still get a round of applause for our effort. So remember, that is very important. They have to be 56 to 70 days by the time of your county fair. So make sure you were talking with your 4-H agent and talking with your leader so that you know that your chickens are going to be in that age range when you go to show them. Very important. So something to keep in mind. All right. Our next question is, what breed of chicken can be used for market chicken? So we have a couple different breed options here. You can go ahead and start typing away. We have our music going here. And Miss Jocelyn, while they are typing, can you give us like maybe, I know you probably don't have any on hand to show us, but can you tell us like what does a Jersey Giant look like? Can you just give us some general descriptions of what these birds look like?
Sure. So as your Jersey Giants are going to be, they usually they're black. They're kind of a nice compact bird. They're a utility is one of the things that they're for. Orpingtons, typically like you think of the buff Orpington is what I raise. So they're kind of a yellowish color with a nice red comb. And then your Rhode Island Reds are kind of like a deep red, almost mahogany brown looking color with combs. And then you have your Cornish Cross, and those typically are your white birds.
Perfect. All right. Well, that actually brings us to our time on this question. So can you tell me the majority vote for this question? See if they got it right.
It looks like the majority are saying C.
Okay, C. Let's see. All right. Way to go. You all are on absolutely. Right. Way to go. We're so proud that you were actively paying attention because that is always the goal. Congratulations! Overall, you all won 675 points as a team. So congratulations, everyone. Round of applause. You did so wonderful as a team. Wonderful, wonderful job. So what we are going to do, we just have a couple more things and then you're going to be able to go off for the night. So what we're going to do now is we have a quick little survey for you all. So what's going to happen is you're going to see a screen pop up and you're going to be able to answer it really quick. There's only a handful of questions. There's 4 questions. So you should start seeing it and you'll be able to scroll down and you just pick which one you think fits best. And it's not a race or anything, so you can take your time and read through the questions. It's nothing like that. It just helps us with everything we do. And while they're voting and everything, Miss Jocelyn, do you have any like extra things to throw out there, or maybe some extra explanations on items that they were kind of hit and missing on the game there?
So I guess just for the market chicken, really look at your date range. You want to get your calendar out, figure out when county fair is, what day you're showing for county fair, and then start counting backwards. And that'll give you your date range or your week or so that you guys need to start ordering or having the baby chicks at your house. Some counties, they do ask you to provide a proof of hatch date, and that'd be your bill of sale from where you got them from, or it'd be your receipt from when you got them from, like Tractor Supply or whatnot. So just keep that in mind to count backwards from your date of fair, and that'll help you with when you need to get your chicks.
Awesome. Well,
So is it for the same thing if we're doing state fair?
State fair will be the same age requirements and weight requirements. So you'll look at your state fair requirements and then you'll start counting back, and you'll want to have them during that date range too. So yes, for county fair and state fair, it's 2 different batches for Pueblo County. It's 2 different sets of chickens you need to get.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
perfect. Okay. Well, it looks like almost everyone has voted. If you're still voting, that's fine. Take your time. It's not a race. But unless you have any other questions for Miss Joslyn, you are free to go. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you to Miss Joslyn for showing your lovely animals, and we hope to see you the rest of this evening. So remember that we have 2 more sessions this week. There's one tomorrow that will be on beef, and then the last one will be on rabbits. So make sure you join in for those. You're filling out your passports. If you want to stay on and find the key to your passport, if you need help with that, you're more than welcome to. So once everyone has had a chance to vote, if you would like to stay on and get that answer key for your passport, you're more than welcome to do that. All right, it does look like there's only one more person who hasn't voted. So we'll give them one more second, but I will get our items popped up here so that you all can see the passport and see what that looks like. So what your passport looks like, I'm going to show you on the Word document so that you all can see it here, is that this is what your passport looks like. So here on your poultry one, it says what feed mentioned in the poultry session helps young birds grow. And Miss Joslyn, can you give us the answer for that tonight? Because I made that for your session. So if you want it to be a high protein feed, anything like that, if that works.
Let's do high protein.
Okay, so you would just type in high protein. So that's what you would type in there. And exact same thing on, if you're using the PDF document, you'll type in high protein on that spot as well. Because remember, if you type that in and you send it back to me, and I will put my email in the chat, you'll be able to get a 4-H goodie bag by on Friday, if you send it in by Friday at 5 p.m. So I'm going to throw my email in there. You should have it from your 4-H agent if you don't already, and then you are all set to go. So thanks so much. We hope to see you again tomorrow night, and then of course Thursday. So have a good evening.
Take care.
What was the thing for our passports?
It's high protein. That's what the answer is. Yeah.